Welcome to MTG Friends, I'm Ryan, and in this Commander deck tech, we're going to be doing Ishkana Grafwidow. Now before we get into what this commander does and what we're building around, let's talk about the different packages we have. So of course we have the Spiders package, the Draw package, the Protection package, the Shenanigans package, which is in every episode I do. We'll have Removal, Graveyard. At the end of the episode, we'll talk about budget and card swaps that you can do. We got land, tokens, and the ramp package. So let's jump right in and start with the commander. All right, the commander is Ishkana Grafwidow for 5. It drops as a 3/5 and it's got reach with Delirium. When Ishkana Grafwidow enters the battlefield, if there are 4 or more card types among cards in your graveyard, put 3/1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach onto the battlefield. And for 7, we can target opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. We are going to be levering both of those. Very much so. All right, let's start in on the spiders section. Adaptive Automaton for 3/2/2 drop. As Adaptive Automaton enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Adaptive Automaton is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Other creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. Oh, definitely include for tribal stuff. It's only going to set you back $2. Blight Widow. It's got reach. It's a 4-drop 2/4. It's got infect. So if you hit any particular opponent with 10 infect, they lose the game. Great blocker. Chainweb Aracnir. This is from Theros Beyond Death. It's got reach. When it enters the battlefield, it does damage to flying creature for its power. But it's got escape for 5. You can escape 4 cards, and then you can put 3/1/1 counters on it and still whack something with flying. Great addition, and it's less than 10 cents, people. Chameleon Colossus for 4. Drops for 4. It's a 4/4 changeling. Protection from black, which, hey, we'll take it. And for 4, Chameleon Colossus gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is its power. And because it's a changeling, blah, 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 it is technically a spider in this build. Deadly Recluse. It's got reach and death touch. A great drop for 2/1/2. Because of that death touch, it's going to be a good blocker. Glowstone Recluse. This is in here not only because it's a spider, but because it's going to combo up with another card we run in this, which Scoot Swarm. But we'll get into that later. It's got mutate for 4. It's got reach. Whenever this creature mutates, put 2/1/1 counters on it. Oh, nice. I love it. Love it. This thing is fabulous. And it's a spider. Graverobber Spider for 4/2/4 reach. Graverobber Spider gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard, which you're going to have some. Activate this ability only once each turn. Grave Shifter and more graveyard stuff as a changeling, which makes it a spider in this build. When Grave Shifter enters the battlefield, you may return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Yes, we will. Hatchery Spider, one of the few rare cards as a spider. Reach Undergrowth. When you cast this spell, reveal the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of creature cards in your graveyard. You may put a green permanent card with converter mana cost X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Wow, so it's a 2-for-1. Love it. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. And it's only going to set you back less than $1. Metallic Mimic. One of the more spendy quote-unquote spiders, just because of its mechanics. As Metallic Mimic enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Spider! Metallic Mimic is the chosen type in addition to its other types. Each other creature you control of the chosen type enters the battlefield with an additional 1/1 counter on it. That works for me. Nyx Weaver for 3/2/3 reach. At the beginning of your upkeep, put the top 2 cards of your library into your graveyard. Fill that up for the Delirium stuff we got going on. Exile Nyx Weaver, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. So it's got that extra added bonus. Obelisk Spider for 3/1/4. It's got reach and it gives damage as -1/-1 counters. When you put 1 or more -1 counter on a creature, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. So hey, an extra little bonus. All right, Recluse for 3/1/3. If you pay the kicker, he destroys a target creature with flying. Silklash Spider, another one of our rares. It's a 5-drop, super old from Onslaught. Silklash Spider may block as though it had flying. And, oh, this extra cool part. For 2 green and X, Silklash Spider deals X damage to each creature with flying. That means the whole board. Oh, love it. And this oldie but goodie is only 50 cents. Yeah, you'd think it'd be more expensive than that because it's such a cool card. But, you know. Whatevs. For 3, this one is a new one out of Core 21. Reach Hexboost from blue. When Sporeweb's Weaver is dealt damage, you gain 1 life and create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token. Okay, it's not creating a spider, but with some of the other cards we have, this is going to be super cool. Stinger Fling Spider for 5, 2/5. Yeah, it's a little spendy for a spider, but when it enters the battlefield, you may destroy target creature with flying. So we can destroy some more stuff. All right, we are into the graveyard section. Although technically this is a land, dual land, modal land from Zendikar Rising. This is one of those new cool ones where it's got a bolt land on the other side, which will cost you 3 life to bring it in untapped. But more importantly, we can return from your graveyard to the battlefield any number of target creature cards that each has a different converted mana cost X or less. This is just, I think, an auto-include in every black deck till the end of time. This thing is fantabulous. Alright, more graveyard play. Life from the Loam. Return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand with Dredge 3. Oh, this is a great card, but it is kind of spendy financially, so we do have some alternatives once we get to the end of the episode. Noxious Revival. This is just a great card. Put target card from a graveyard on top of its owner's library, and it costs you Phyrexian mana or 1 green. So you can pay 2 life if you're tapped out. And its mechanic is just great. We also have some options in the budget realm for that one too. Phyrexian Reclamation for 1. And it means for 2, pay 2 life, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Alright, we're into the token section, folks. This is just amazingly... What does this thing do? Arachnogenesis for 3. It costs you only 3, people. Create X, 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach, where X is the number of creatures attacking you. And then, even more importantly, prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by non-spider creatures. It's probably not going to be spiders, people. And this is like a heroic intervention, sort of, rolled into give me a bunch of spiders. That's pretty fantastic. All right, another new addition from Theros Beyond Death, Arasta of the Endless Web for 4, 3/5. This is a splendid rare spider. Reach. Whenever an opponent casts an instant or sorcery spell, create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. Oh, for a spider deck, this is bananas cool. And it's only 50 cents. 50 cents! I was so excited when I would crack those in draft. Okay, now we have some extra lovin' from Doubling Season. If you don't already know what this is, an effect would create 1 or more tokens. It creates 2, or it doubles it up basically. And if it does a counter on it, a +1/+1 counter on a permanent, it puts twice as many on that. Oh man, this is fantastic. We do have some alternatives for this in the budget section, but there really is no replacement for Doubling Season. Gemraiser is in here because of the token generation in case you're running Scoot Swarm. It's got Mutate for 3, Reach, Trample. Whenever this creature mutates, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. And it's got that extra benefit. This actually could be in a few sections. Shenanigans. Can anyone say shenanigans? Helm of the Host. At the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature, except the token isn't legendary. If equipped creature is legendary, that token gains haste. Wow, you can be comboing this up with Doubling Season, with Scoot Swarm. There's just all sorts of things you can be doing with this. It is a 4-drop, super powerful artifact. Parallel Lives. More generation of tokens. This is not as effective as Doubling Season because it doesn't do the +1/+1 counters, but it doubles the tokens. Very splendid, very good card. All right. Also, technically in the token section, this spider, Penumbra Spider, creates a 2/4 black spider creature token when it dies. Grafwidow Pack for 4, 2/4 drop, reach. For 5, you can exile a creature card from your graveyard and create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach. Then each opponent loses 1 life for each spider you control. Oh, this just really has great synergy with your commander. Scoot Swarm, yes, it's not a spider, but it's going to be doing some cool stuff. It's got landfall. When a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. If you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm instead. So if you have this thing mutated, once it hits that triggered ability of 6 or more, it's if you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm. It's going to start making copies of itself instead of a 1/1 green insect creature. Oh, this is so bananas, folks. This is such a powerful card. I think in the long run, this is going to be run in all sorts of things. It is a great card. I think it's going up in value. Run this card. Second Harvest for 4. For each token you control, create a token that's a copy of that permanent. Oh man, if you're creating a lot on any particular turn, you're going to be creating even that much more. Oh, wow. Spider Spawning. Oh, this thing's bananas for 5. Create a 1/2 green spider creature token with reach for each creature card in your graveyard. And it's got the added bonus of flashback, which means you can play it again for 7. You may cast this card from your graveyard for its flashback cost, then exile it. So it's a 2-for-1 card. You get to play it twice. All right, we are in the ramp segment. Arcane Signet. Run this card, and I can't think of any commander deck you wouldn't run that in. Birds of Paradise. Great little weenie. For budgetary reasons, you can swap this out for any other mana dork. Yeah, not weenie. Mana dork. Elves of Deep Shadow. It's a 1-drop, but you can tap it for black. Great mana fixing. Elvish Mystic. Tap for 1. Farseek. This is specifically so that you can go grab a swamp when you need it, and it only costs you 2. I always say this wrong, but it's Fyndhorn Elves. It's a mana dork. Golgari Signet. Golgari colors. Herald's Horn. Now this is an interesting one and a little more spendy that we do have some alternatives for. It's a 3-drop. As it hits the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creature spells you cast of the chosen type cost 1 less to cast, so that's great for the spiders. At the beginning of your upkeep, look at the top card of your library. If it's a creature card of the chosen type, you may reveal it and put it into your hand. Hey, added bonus. Yes, that is great, and it only costs you 3. Mana dork. Nature's Lore. Search library for a forest card and put it on the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Soul Ring, run it. Talisman of Resilience. Helps get your colors that you need. And it costs you 1 damage when you do it. We're into the draw section. Guardian Project for 4. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card. Draw. It's a lovely card. Kindred Summons. Now this is an interesting one. It's 4/7, so it is a little spendy, but it is an instant. Choose a creature type. Well, that's going to be spiders. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X creature cards of the chosen type, where X is the number of creatures you control of that type. Let me read that one section over again, just in case you didn't get it. Reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal X spiders, in this case, creature cards of that chosen type, where X is the number of creatures you control. So however many you have on the board. Let's say you have 5. Put those cards onto the battlefield, then shuffle the rest of the revealed cards into your library. So you can put up to 5 of those? Lovely. So that's great. But let's say you had a huge amount of spiders on the playfield. Then you're going to be going through a huge amount of your deck and pulling all sorts of spiders out. including changelings, by the way. Necropotence. This is pure draw. This is a staple in anything that's running black. It's 3 black. Skip your draw step. Whenever you discard a card, exile that card from your graveyard. Pay 1 life. Exile the top card of your library face down. Put the card into your hand at the beginning of your next end step. So, obviously, this is expensive because it's such a staple. We have alternatives for this at the end of the episode. Return of the Wild Speaker. This is interesting because it does 2 things for you. Because we're playing so many creatures and tokens and everything, the non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 until end of turn is useful and can be used. But then the other one, draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, is also useful. So, Return of the Wild Speaker. Very great card. And I'm seeing this pop up a lot more in commander decks. Runic Armor Sword for 3/2/5. Super cheap. Mana costing. Whenever an opponent activates an ability of a creature or land that isn't a mana ability, you draw a card. This, I'm not going to say is an auto include in every green deck you got, but it should definitely be considered in every single one. Sylvan Library, one of the most broken cards in Magic. That's not illegal. At the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose 2 cards in your hand. Choose 2 cards in your hand drawn this turn. For each of those cards, pay 4 life or put the card on top of your library. Because as commander, this doesn't have much of a downside. If you got it, run it. If you don't, don't. We have alternatives. Alright, we're into the removal. Assassin's Trophy for 2. This is specifically in here because it's destroy target permanent. Most of the destruction stuff is non-land permanent. So this is specifically in there for that. And is why it's more than $10. Destroy target permanent an opponent controls. Its controller may search their library for a basic land card. Not a huge downside. Put it onto the battlefield, then shuffle their library. There you go. Barrier Breach for 3. Exile up to 3 target enchantments, or you can cycle it. Well, there's going to be enchantments out there. Damnation. Oh, who doesn't love a little Black Wrath of God? Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. And I was playing heavily during this time during Planar Chaos. I love that card. Deadly Rollick, a very new one from Commander 2020. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Exile target creature. Wow. So you can just pay the 4 mana, or if you can control your commander, it costs you nothing. That is fantastic. Force of Vigor. This is in here because it's a powerful removal spell. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay this spell's mana cost. That too. Destroy up to 2 target artifacts and or enchantments. So the fact that you can play this for free is why it's in here. Kindred Dominance. Oh man, this thing is great for what we're playing. It costs you 7. Yeah, it's a little spendy, but that's okay. Choose a creature type. Spiders. Destroy all creatures that aren't of that chosen type. It's a board clear except for your cool stuff. We also have a alternative budgetary card for that. Crows and Grip. Auto include in every green commander deck, if you ask me. Split Second, which is very cool. As long as this spell is on the stack, players can't cast spells or activate abilities that aren't mana abilities. So basically, once on a stack, they can't do nothing. Destroy target artifact or enchantment. No counters where that happens. Putrefy. Oh, this is a stable in Golgari. Destroy target artifact or creature. It can't be regenerated. Golgari. Yeah, sorry. Said that all funky. Toxic Deluge for 3. As an additional cost to cast this spell, pay X life. That's okay. All creatures get -X/-X until end of turn. Oh, what a powerful, playable black card. Alright, and let's go ahead and get into land. We're going to go through this fairly rapidly because land is one of the most versatile, swappable stuff. Barren Moor comes in tap, also has cycle. Command Tower, run it. Dakmor Salvage has the dredge mechanic, which means if you would draw a card and then you may put exactly 2 cards from on top of your library in your graveyard, which helps with our commander. Then you can play it from there. And it is a black card. Fabled Passage, you can crack it. Comes untapped if it's the 4th or more card. And this is right out of not Core, but Throne. So that is a fairly new addition. Force, we're running a Llanowar Waste. It is a pain land. Costs you 1 for dual. Mosswort Bridge. This is in here because of the hideaway mechanic. When it enters the battlefield tapped, you can look at the top 4 cards of your library and exile a card face down. Then you can tap this thing if you have 10 total power on the board. And you can tap it and play that card without it costing you a nothing. It'll cost you nothing. Nurturing Peatland. You can sack it to draw a card. Otherwise, you can pay 1 pain land for your black or green. Oran Reef Vastwood. This one is great. You can tap it for green, or you can put a 1/1 counter on each green creature that entered the battlefield this turn. Guess what? We're playing lots of green creatures. Shockland. Path of Ancestry. Add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity. Yes, play this. And you can scry whenever you do a creature spell that is in that identity color. Prismatic Vista. You can sack it and grab a basic land. If you don't have it, don't run it. Run something else. Swamps, 7 of them. Swarmyard. Run this in any tribal, spider, insect, rat, or squirrel deck you got, because it allows you to regenerate a spider whenever you want. Tainted Woods. Add green or black. Activate this only if you control a swamp, which you will. Alright, this is a scry land. Run it. Tranquil Thicket. Cycling land. Run it. Twilight Mire. You can pay black or green to do some mana fixing by either adding a black, green, or green, green. Great card. Unclaimed Territory. Comes in tapped. Add 1 mana of any color. Spend this mana only to cast a creature spell of the chosen type, which you choose when it enters. Verdant Catacombs. You crack it, and you go grab a swamp or a forest. Westfield Abbey. Let's talk about this one for a second. If you aren't already familiar with it, you can pay 5 to, or you can pay 5 and tap to pay 1 life. Put a 1/1 white and black human cleric creature token on the battlefield. You're not going to be doing that. What you are going to be doing is tap for 5 and tap, sacrifice 5 creatures, transform Westfield Abbey, then untap it. It turns into a 9/7 indestructible, flying, life-linking, crazy, monstrous card that is so awesome, and you were going to be able to sack 5 creatures. Absolutely. This is a great card in this build. Woodland Cemetery. It comes in tapped unless you control a swamp or a forest. So we can get our colors we need. Alright, into the protection section, and we're getting close to the end, folks. Heroic Intervention. This is an auto include in any green deck you have. Permanents you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. You absolutely must run this, and it's less than $6. Run that card. Ikra Shadik the Usurper. I probably butchered that name. It's for 5. It is a legendary wizard with menace. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Now, it also has a partner thing, but we don't care about that. This is because we're running a lot of spiders that have a lot of toughness, so this is a great include. Plus, itself has a 3/7. So, a little bit more protection. Veil of Summer for 1. Draw a card if an opponent has cast a blue or black spell this turn. Spells you control can't be countered this turn. You and permanents you control gain hexproof from blue and from black until end of turn. Just a fantastic card. I remember when this thing got banned in Standard. It needed to be banned, but it's just a super cool card. Alright, the Shenanigans section. Each creature you control assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. And for 1, target creature with defender can attack this turn as though it didn't have a defender. That part's irrelevant. And for 3, creatures you control get +0/+1 until end of turn. that could actually be very, very helpful. Coat of Arms, because we got so many spiders. Each creature gets +1/+1 for each other creature. So you got a spider here, you got a spider here. They both get double. In play of that same creature type. For example, if there are 3, let's say goblins, let's say spiders, in play, each of them gets +2/+2. Whoo-wee! Oh, and I love this this text here. Hoop, 2, 3, 4, don't know how to count no more. March. That's so great. And this is all the way back from Exodus. This has had a few reprints, but not a ton. Great. Fantastic card. All right, Craterhoof Behemoth. Well, Jumpstart certainly isn't the first time that ever got onto the battlefield. It's a finisher, folks. It's a 5 green haster. When Craterhoof Behemoth enters the battlefield, creatures you control gain trample and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of creatures you control. So this is just going to make everything you got on the board a gigantic Saurus Rex. Creakwood Liege for 4. It's a 2/2. Plus, notice it also has Golgari colors in it, because other black creatures you control get +1/+1, and other green creatures you control get +1/+1. Now notice it does say other, so it doesn't get it itself, but anything you have in multiple colors is going to get the +2/+2s, and anything you got just green will get +1, anything, etc., etc. But then in addition to all of that, at the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a 1/1 black and green worm creature token onto the battlefield. That is just fantastic. Oh man. Which technically means it'll be a 3/3 worm creature token, if Creakwood Liege is still alive. Shenanigans. Alright, now for the budgetary considerations. Oh man. Because budget sometimes is questioned. So Beast Whisperer. We have this in here to swap out for Guardian Project. So whenever you cast a creature spell, draw a card. And then we got Casualties of War. Now this is going to be in place of stuff like Damnation, Toxic Deluge. It's a cheaper card. It only costs you 2, and it's still pretty powerful. It is a 6-drop, but you get to choose 1 or more. Destroy target artifact, creature, enchantment, land, and or planeswalker. So that is a great include if you need to swap out a couple of those cards. Cultivate, that's, you know, generic ramp. If there's something in your ramp package that you want to swap out, because this one is much cheaper. This is going to be less than $1. It just literally got reprinted in Core 21. It's been reprinted a bazillion times. I'm always curious what the first time was. It looks like back in 2011 maybe. So then next up is Decree of Pain. Now this is going to be swapping out yet again for like Damnation, Toxic Deluge, that kind of thing, and it's only going to run you about $4. Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. Draw a card for each creature destroyed this way, which is actually a benefit for it costing so much more. And then you can also cycle it. But if you do cycle it, when you cycle Decree of Pain, all creatures get -2/-2. Obviously not a replacement for Damnation, Toxic Deluge, but it's still a pretty great card. It's just going to cost you a little bit more in terms of mana. End-Raze Forerunner. This is in our budget consideration specifically to replace Craterhoof. Vigilance, Trample, Haste. It's a 5 green 7/7. When End-Raze Forerunners enters the battlefield, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain Vigilance and Trample until end of turn. It is by no means an apples to apples, but it is a budgetary consideration to replace Craterhoof. Full Flowering. Now this is a baby doubling season. XX green, populate X times. And just in case you don't know what populate is, populate, create a token that's a copy of a creature token you control. Do this X time. So if you want something that's, you know, much cheaper, this is a consideration if you can't run doubling season or parallel lives. Icon of Ancestry. This is in here. So, like, in case you don't want to run a Mimic, that kind of stuff. As Icon of Ancestry enters the battlefield, choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. And you can start searching for stuff for 3 and tap. Look at the top 3 cards of your library. You may reveal a creature card of that chosen type, spiders of course, from among them and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. In Garruk's Wake. This one is to replace Kindred Dominance. Destroy all creatures you don't control and all planeswalkers you don't control. Alright. Incubation Druid is just a replacement for a mana dork with a few extra added bonuses. So you can add 1 mana of any type that a land you control could produce. If Incubation Druid has a 1/1 counter on it, add 3 mana instead. And for 5, you can adapt it. And that'll be less than $1. And then Juvenile Gloomwidow is just in here to replace any more expensive like creatures that you may want to replace. You know, it's got reach, it's got wither. And Preferred Selection. This is to replace Sylvan Library. At the beginning of your draw phase, look at the top 2 cards of your library and choose one. Put that card on the bottom of your library or sacrifice Preferred Selection and pay 4 to draw the card. So, just a budgetary consideration. Selesnya Eulogist. It's a 3-drop 3/3 for 3. You can exile target creature card from a graveyard, then populate. Populate again. Create a token that's a copy of a creature token you control. So, you can put this in place, you know, of Doubling Season. But really, folks, you want to have Doubling Season. And Tragic Slip. This is going to replace stuff like Assassin's Trophy. For 1, target creature gets -1 until end of turn. Or Morbid, that creature gets -13 until end of turn instead if a creature died this turn. So it's a less than $1 alternative for Assassin's Trophy. And I believe this is the last one, which is Underrealm Lich. It's a 5-drop 4/3. If you would draw a card, instead look at the top 3 cards of your library, then put 1 into your hand and the rest into your graveyard. Pay 4 life. Underrealm Lich gains indestructible until end of turn. So this is just another replacement in case, you know, you need to replace something like Necropotence, that kind of thing. And I believe that wraps it up. So again, this is a great fun build with a lot of synergy, a lot of power. I think you're going to enjoy playing this. There are some budgetary swaps that you can do. Ishkana, Grafwidow. I already play this deck. I play this deck a lot. I've done some updates with the new cards that have come out recently, and I think they've made them even more powerful and even more fun to play. Be a friend of the gathering. Hit the like button. Please hit subscribe. Smash that like button. We want to hear from you. Put comments in the comments section. And thank you for tuning in. Look forward to seeing you at the next episode.